Howdy, howdy, howdy folks. Hope you're having a great day so far. Hope you enjoy my new office as you can see behind me. Decided to have some fun, fiddle with designs, and I've landed on this here office with the setup currently on display. Thinking of keeping this as the general background for when I do these quick hop on and discuss a topic videos. I digress. Today I'm just popping in to talk about the latest trends spreading throughout the business side of country music, and that is none other than the double album, or if you're Eric Church, the triple album. By the time this video actually gets posted, it will have been a few days, but as I'm recording this, Thomas Rhett has recently announced he's putting out a double album. Country Again Side A will be available near the end of April. I forget the exact date, but then Side B is yet to be announced. All he said is it'll come out sometime later this year. Obviously, to kick the year off, we got Morgan Wallen's double album Dangerous. Was there definitely some corporate greed behind the scenes saying, hey, we can make a boatload of cash, double the cash in fact, if we have the biggest superstar in the country world release double the content all at once? Obviously. However, I gave Dangerous a buy because it was the first. Similar to how you sort of have to give Florida Georgia Line the pass on their older bro country, they were the first to it. Whether you like it or not, more power to them for trying something new. Then, not long after we received Dangerous, the news was leaked that Eric Church was releasing a triple album in April. I'm just now realizing how much music is coming out in April, my gosh. Anyways, we all know by now, Heart and Soul are the 3 albums, only 2 are available to the wide public, but again, it got the pass for a few reasons. First being, these are short albums. Like, if you combine the 2 albums being released to the public, it's only one more track than both of Luke Combs' albums, not including the deluxe, which is a whole nother discussion for another day. Anthony Fantano also did a decent breakdown of the infestation of deluxe albums in today's music world, because it isn't only country music that saw an unnecessary and unfathomable spike in the number of deluxe albums being released. Either way, the other reason I gave Eric a buy was because I'm under the impression these were recorded a long time ago. Stick That in Your Country song is something like 8 months old now, and they'd finished the entire series of projects long before singles began rolling out, so in that sense it was an original idea until Morgan beat him to it. But then we got the news Thomas Rhett is the latest to hop on the bandwagon of multi-album releases. The only reason I'm not completely kicking dirt on this move is because over the course of the pandemic, Thomas posted so many videos of so many unreleased songs he had written, and a lot of them sounded really good. So of course he chose What's Your Country Song, arguably one of the weakest, to be the lead single. But regardless, Thomas Rhett is a very active songwriter, so with all this time off, one can only imagine just how many songs he's written that are good enough to cut. So in that sense, I almost want to give this one a buy as well, but this is going to be the 3rd multi-album release, not even a third of the way through the year. It better blow the roof off the barn. What's Your Country Song should be bottom tier compared to the rest of this album, because especially when talking about superstars like Morgan and Thomas, there's a lot of custom fitted suits and striped ties behind the scenes just going Andy Fast style mode, trying to find any possible avenue money may lie. So with that in mind, if the double album isn't justified by incredible music straight through both projects, it's going to be hard to view this series as anything but a cash grab. After reposting the announcement on my Instagram, I had several people reach out to me with mixed opinions. Some saying they were sick of this double album fad even though it's barely gotten started, some saying the more the merrier, which I can understand, but my main fear is it will become expected for artists to release content in mass quantities, and as a result, whether they want to or not, artists are going to have to start sacrificing quality for quantity in order to keep up with the industry. I mean, we saw how much alcohol was rinsed and repeated throughout Dangerous, and that will just be the case times 10. Take someone like Luke Combs, for example. Obviously, he's rumoring towards a bluegrass album at some point down the road, which is awesome, but in terms of his mainstream output, I think it's already getting repetitive, so imagine a double helping of that. It's not going to be a case of one album being great and the other just being a Walmart version of the first. Both are just going to end up being mediocre because the plan from the start was to release the double album, which I'll talk about that issue more in a few minutes. This sort of ties back into why I'm giving Thomas Rhett a buy, because I doubt he planned on releasing a double album from the beginning. Do I think Morgan definitely influenced the final decision to go for it? Absolutely. But like I said, give a songwriter like Thomas Rhett a year to himself, he's gonna write an abundance of music, and it may just be that the amount of quality tracks is too much for one album, so then you explore different avenues, like a double album in this case. I hope you can see the difference I'm trying to paint between a genuine double album and a cash grab. Maybe it is the case that a lot of people had a lot of time to write songs, but I really doubt someone like Kane Brown just really put pen to paper during this pandemic and is about to whip out some Southeastern-esque double record. It's just going to be cool again 30 times with a bunch of Broadway pop features. I could very well be overthinking the whole situation. Maybe Country Again will be the finale to a short and interesting chapter of multi-album releases, and that's what I'm hoping to be the case. But I can't help but imagine there's a lot of managers out in Nashville seeing the success of Dangerous, which is still topping the charts, smashing all these records, and then proceeding to just call up the biggest names on their labels and tell them to make a double album. Quick side note, on a personal level, when I listen to music, I pick an album and go straight through. So then you give me something like Dangerous, and it's like, where do I have 90 uninterrupted minutes to listen to this thing start to finish? I know not many people are like me when it comes to listening to music, but that's another pet peeve of mine that definitely fuels this fear of the double album takeover. It's partly because of this mass quantity chaos that I think we really need to celebrate albums like 29 by Carly Pearce that just came out a few weeks ago. Unless 2021 blesses us with a lot more fantastic albums, you can bet you'll be seeing 29 in my albums of the year. I've always been an advocate for shorter albums, and this is a perfect example of why. Other than Show Me Around, which obviously has a deeper meaning behind it, the whole album is focused on a singular emotion and story, obviously that being her divorce with Michael Ray. But you never get bored of it. It packs a punch, the quality is incredibly high and concentrated over the course of the 22 minutes or however long it is. Had she tried to stretch that to even a 10-track album, she would have run into one of two issues. She would have had to include multiple songs that just get away from this theme of divorce, in turn just kind of blurring the focus of the project, or she releases 10 tracks of divorce songs and it feels dragged out and repetitive. Another great example will be Ernest Local's Only. There's not a single sad song on there, but it doesn't feel annoyingly positive because he didn't make it 15 tracks with a runtime of an hour. Now, before I get ahead of myself, there's absolutely a time and place for longer albums, and in terms of average, I think the standard should be 10 to 14 tracks. 29 is short. I'm not saying every album needs to be 7 tracks and none more. I'm just saying an album should begin with a vision, and then the artist goes and makes that vision an audible journey. It may end up being 7 tracks in 22 minutes, or it may end up being like my favorite album ever, Blonde, and be 17 tracks with a runtime of just over an hour. But I don't think an artist should go in during the early stages of an album with an amount of tracks or a runtime they want to achieve, because then you're restricting or altering the art to fit the presentation, as opposed to letting the presentation be shaped by the music and the art. So to close off, that's an incredibly expanded explanation of why maybe Thomas Rhett's double album is justified. Maybe I'm being overly negative and pessimistic, but if Kane Brown or Dan and Shay announce a double album, I am not going to buy the narrative if it's anything along the lines of they just wrote too many fantastic songs and couldn't fit it in one concise record. I just won't buy it, especially after songs like Glad You Exist, which is just a piece of garbage. There's obviously the possibility that once this trickle effect of the pandemic begins thinning, we begin seeing a decrease in the quantity of music being released, simply because people just did have more time to write songs. But as of right now, I think we're definitely living through the very beginning of a potential industry trend that I just don't want to see come to fruition. First, they began making albums longer, then the deluxe trend came crashing through all corners of the music industry, and now double albums seem to be brewing as the next fad, and I don't really want it. I've gone on for way too long. Don't overthink this video, by the way. It's just me rambling. Who knows, my mood very well could change towards double albums as time goes on. And like I said, I have not by any means dismissed Thomas Rhett's project yet. If anything, I'm optimistic, seeing the changes he's made in songs like Growing Old and Want It Again. I'm really looking forward to what he has to say. But as of right now, I'm not looking forward to the potential wave of unnecessary double albums that we may be on the verge of receiving. I keep rambling. I need to stop. Until next time, have a great day, everyone.